I'm exhausted. So the last video I ended with was the dream where there was an Easter egg hunt outside of the church. So keep in mind that I thought that was it, but I had another one that I needed to add to it. And since then, I've had one more specifically, and possibly a third one, but it was just a church, not necessarily that church. But anyway, so I'm in my car and I'm waiting for the kids to pick the kids up, but I said I gotta get these recorded. Okay, so here we go. Just before that Easter egg hunt dream, I had a dream where I was standing outside the east side of the church, the outside of the church on the east side in the parking lot. And I remember a lady was telling me, you better come on in if you want to view the body. And this lady is a well-known, she's over music at the church. And she told me to come on in. And you know, I kind of took my time. I was talking to someone out in the parking lot, but I took my time. But I finally went in, and when I went on the inside, I was out in the foyer, like the part just before you walk into the sanctuary. And I remember being out there, and the doors kind of opened of the church, and I saw like a casket inside in the aisle. You know, the casket is usually up, and it replaces the altar if there's a funeral going on. But this casket was kind of in the middle of the aisle, and it was kind of being rotated, kind of like on display, kind of like being rotated or something. And I remember thinking, wow, that's odd. Anyway, they closed the doors, and it's kind of like you stand in line to wait to go in. But it was set up more like a wedding, where how you open the doors and then the bride walks through. But we're about to go on a funeral. Anyway, I saw that, but I was behind an older lady that was holding the hands of two little girls. And that older lady was weeping so bad, and she was just crying, and the two little girls were just holding on to her hand. So it would seem like maybe that was her daughter, and she's the little girls whose hands she's holding, she's their grandmother, and their mother was in there. I'm not sure. I didn't know who the person was. And like I said, I saw that the doors closed. So I was behind her, the older lady with the two little girls on the side of her. But then the dream ended. So I never went in to see what was what. But that was pretty odd. All right. So I had another dream the night before last. Okay, and this dream, so I'm going to be talking about three if I can get through them today. So that was one. Here's the second one that I needed to add. This dream, make sure I got it in order right. Yeah, this dream started where we were sitting like in a house. It was like a fellowship, maybe a house gathering or something. And it was the nighttime, and I remember it being a lot of people in there kind of just eating, or I didn't see anybody eating, but food was being prepared. I remember it being not looking appealing. The food looked kind of nasty. I remember I saw my mom, or you know, the ladies in the church put barbecue on pizza. Some people probably like that. But spread barbecue like on bread with cheese. It was just like not appealing to look at. It just didn't look appealing. And then I remember, in particular, one guy came in like to pick up his food. He said it was a young guy, so it might have been like a youth in the congregation. It seemed like a church event or something like that. And he's like, I'm picking up my food. And one of them said, I'll fix it for him, you know, and they kind of got it. It was looking real nasty. It was not looking good at all. And he had walked off. So they kind of prepared it. But then next thing I know, I remember looking over to my left and seeing it being bagged up like to-go bags. And I'm like, that's odd, because this was just like some, it looks pretty in the bags. You know, the bags, the preparation, the packaging looks pretty, but this was just like some goulash, some stuff just thrown together. Wow, you know, I remember thinking that. So anyway, this event or fellowship, I don't know what it was over. And I remember going into the parking lot of this church, my childhood church, and getting in my car, Dior and I. We got in a car, and I was just going to touch my makeup up real quick, I believe, before we got out again, because there was another event of some sort going on. But as I was doing that, a big black dog ran up to the car. I had the windows down for some reason, and he was just growling and barking. It's just big old black dog. And I remember being like, oh goodness. And then the fear going away from me. You normally would be freaking out. And then he jumped in my car, and instead of it being a freaking out, panic, screaming attack that you would think, immediately it came over me, okay, just get out the car and lock it. His behind will be stuck in the car. So me and Dior jumped out the car, and we closed the doors, and he was stuck in the car. And it was just like so calm after that. All right, so then from there, we end up in this line in maybe a school part or another building. It wasn't the sanctuary, it was another building. It looked like a high school, but it was attached to this church. And I remember saying, how can we be in the front of the line like this? It was people behind us at this point. But I'm like, we just literally had to scuffle and escape a big old dog. How are we at the front of the line like this? So we're literally at the front of the line, and I remember I had like concealer on my face, because I didn't finish touching up my makeup. I had concealer on my face, and I had one shoe on. But nobody was saying anything. Like, it was just like, okay, nobody was saying anything. But I know that's why I just was like, how can it be that I'm in the front? Ooh, sorry, I swallowed wrong. So here we go. Ooh. We get, they finally opened the doors and let us in. Nobody's mentioning my one little shoe I got on. Or this makeup that is not done on my face. A little bits of lighter parts right here under my eyes. I needed to touch it up. Nobody's saying nothing. But then, so somebody is kind of guiding us through. Then it's this one lady that's guiding us to where we were going. And I remember asking her, you know, she had some type of maybe bell, flashlight or something. Like, she was obviously in charge of navigating, getting us where we needed to go. I remember asking her, you know, what's the protocol for when you're attacked by a dog, or when a dog jumps in your car? And I remember like her being blank, like a blank look in her face. But she was smiling, and everything looked like she was smiling and kind of just looking back, but she wasn't responding. Like, she had no clue. Like, she wasn't real or something. Like, she was a robot or something. I don't know, but she just was like, and kept kind of walking, like, and I'm like, okay, she's not any help. So, you know, we just walk and follow her. Then the next thing you know, when that happened, all of that happened, it was dark outside. But next thing you know, it's light outside, and we're still kind of just walking around. And then I I see Pastor Stevens, and for some reason I felt safe then when I saw him, and he was way taller. He's tall anyway, but he was almost like a giant, way bigger than he normally is. I mean, than his true height is. But anyway, I just noticed that. But I saw my car again. It's daylight now, and I was like, okay, I felt safe. Like, if the dog is in here, you know, he'll do something to help if it goes down, because I need to get my shoe. I remember thinking that. So I got in the car. The dog wasn't in there. And I remember kind of just blotting my face and getting my shoe and getting out. And everything was fine. And that's all I remember of that dream. Yeah. So here's the next one. The one that I just had yesterday. Okay, this one, I remember being in an auditorium. And Pastor Ronnie was preaching, and I remember one part of the sermon, you know how preachers sometimes project images or the Bible verse or something on the screen. I remember one part of it, he was projecting some pictures, but at that time, we had walked out for a moment. My little family, like me, Derek, Dior, baby Derek, we had walked out for something. But on the screen, one of the images, it was like a girl, and he was probably showing how you got to be, you know, be careful about, you know, what the world, looking like the world, and, you know, or making sure you're set apart. I'm not sure what the message was behind it, because like I said, we had walked out. But I could somehow see still what was being projected on the screen. And one of the images was a girl like with a bikini on, but with like a black shawl around it, a black skirt around it that was sheer. And I just remember saying to myself, oh, I'm glad we walked out during that time so Derek didn't see that, you know. So I just remember that part. And then I remember, like I said, this is kind of it. I felt like it was the same church that I was getting prepared for shortly after that. But all I needed was I just needed some gas so I could go to church. And I told Derek, you know, I need some gas. We were in two separate cars. And he said, okay, well, I left my wallet at home. So we went back to the house in two separate cars to get the wallet. But when we got to the house, for some reason, Derek was, I don't know if he didn't have any money or what, but he was sitting on the ground in the room making shoes for me and Dior. I mean, he had a little pretty little shoe he had made for Dior with like, had made like a little platform shoe with like a little wrapped around the ankle and everything. And it looked like he had some little black and silver shoes he had made for me too. I didn't see the process like I did with Dior's. But I'm thinking to myself, why is he making shoes? And I didn't need a pair of shoes. I needed gas or gas money. So that was interesting. And then that was the end of that dream. So again, as they come, I'm going to come on here and record and talk about them, because I need to know what's going on. God is telling me something, and he's telling it to me in a way that I have to get it and understand it. Because these dreams are coming very regularly now. So comment below if you've had this experience, or if you know of anything related to what I'm experiencing. If you know, gone through this same thing, that would be good to hear your experience, because this is something else. I've been praying about it. I've been asking God to show me what he is trying to tell me. And I've even asked him a question. Is it related to this church, or is it related to, show me, make it clear to me, God, what it's related to, so that I can do your will and understand what you're calling me to do, what you're telling me to do. Help me, because I just need to know. Thank y'all so much for listening. I'm sorry I was coughing in it. I don't know what's going on. But I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.